Hello guys, how are you? Right, here.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Uh, Here I'm Innocent. We'll be together in operations management in supply chain, right? So we'll be together until the time you are going to write your final exam, right? So for our module, we are going to go through the topics that are in the module, which are 9 of them. And then when we are done with the topics, we will look for past exam questions that we will use to revise. That will be when we are done with the topics, and then we do revision using the past exam questions, right? And we will also go through your assignment. Okay, we'll also go through your assignment, right? So that is how we are going to tackle out our module, covering the module first, because I know some of you is the first time to do operations management, so we need to go through it for you to understand first, and then we'll cover typical exam questions after that. Okay. So the topics that we are going to cover, where are they? As per our module, these are the topics that we are going to cover. Okay, the first one, the nature and scope of the operations management function, which introduces us to the operations management in supply chain. And then the second one being effective managerial decisions. We have the third one, development of effective operations. Number 4 being basic productivity. Number 5, the global environment and operations strategy. The next one, number 6, process strategies. 7, forecasting techniques. 8, inventory management and economic order quantity. And then the last one, number 9, aggregate planning and scheduling. These are the topics that are in your module, right? So we can cover all the topics before we do the revision, right? Let's all ensure that we are on mute. Okay. So let's get into the first topic. Let's get into the first topic. Just 1 second. Let me share with you guys. Right, so this is our first topic, the nature and scope of operations management function. Like I said, it's going to introduce us to our module. Okay, so basically the operations management in supply chain, we can say it oversees and coordinates the entire supply chain process, right? we know the supply chain, it starts from the procurement of raw materials to the delivery of the finished products to the consumers, right? When products are being manufactured, right, the first thing is to procure raw materials. Raw materials, they are purchased, they come to the manufacturing site, and then they are transformed into the final output. The output is the final product that we buy from the shops. Okay, so the operations management in supply chain, it includes managing logistics. We have the management of inventory. We have the actual production of goods, or the delivery of services, and then the distribution of these goods or manufactured products to the consumers, right? And when businesses are doing this, they aim to ensure that they're doing this cost effectively so that they reduce the cost of operations. When cost of operations are reduced, then the profits that the business are going to realize from their operations will increase, right? So it's important in the 21st century that operations are managed. Why? Because operations management, it ensures that there is a smooth coordination across the diverse regions or suppliers that the business organization might be dealing with, right? And we say also it reduces costs. Costs are going to be reduced by the effective management of operations. The business will respond quickly to the changes in the market, to what the consumers are requiring. The business also will be able to manage risk. So there are a lot of things that make the operations management function important. Right. So the successful management of operations, we say it is very important for an organization. If an organization wants to realize efficient and effective operational processes, it must ensure that its operations are being successfully managed. Right? We have operations managers, those who oversee the operations function. And these are very important, these managers, in the operations management department, or in the operations department, because these are the ones who will ensure that the operational processes are improved, are efficient, and are effective. So they plan. They come up with the decisions for the operations management function. We have the scope of operations management, which explains what aspects are important in operations management. We'll look at the scope of operations management later on. So if you are an operations manager, you have to understand the connections, the relationships between different or various functions within an organization. We know that an organization does not have one function. It has got a lot of functions, such as the finance department or the finance function, the operations function, the HR department, the IT department, the marketing, sales and marketing department. All these are functions within an organization. So if you're an operations manager, you need to understand how these are related. We also look at the relationship between or amongst the various organizational functions. And also, it is very important for you when you're an operations manager to understand the differences between goods and services, or you can say the differences between products and services. We have businesses that manufacture goods. We have businesses that provide services. So you as an operations manager, you have to understand the differences. Know that goods and services are not the same. They have differences. We also cover the differences between goods and services. Okay. Right, so let's define operations management. We're talking of operations management. What is it? It's the management processes exploited to design, create, deliver, and distribute goods and services. Right? So these goods and services, they are distributed to customers, and they are going to value to these customers. We're not just business are not just delivering goods and services. They are going to deliver goods and services that will add value. Someone is not on mute. Dudu Zile. Dudu Zile, may you mute yourself, please? Okay. Right, so that's operations management, right? Designing, creating, delivering, and distributing goods and services to consumers. Those goods and services that are going to add value in the lives of the consumers. So we are saying the operations management function, right? It manages activities, those activities that are used to change the inputs or to transform the inputs into goods or services. When goods are manufactured, when services are being provided, there are inputs that are needed. We'll look at the inputs and outputs in the transformation process later on, right? So when you are looking at value addition or value added, can be defined as the additional value of goods over the cost that is used to produce it, right? So we have inputs, they are transformed. When they are being transformed, there is need for adding value so that the customer will enjoy that value on the other side. Okay. So in operations management, we have various processes, we have various areas that are covered in operations management. We have productivity, right? We have efficiency, we have customer service, we have the e-business or e-commerce, we have global competition. These are some of the processes and areas that are included in operations management. So all businesses, either it's a manufacturing concept or it's a business that is providing services, they need operational activities to function. So in other words, we are saying there is operations management in the manufacturing sector. There is operations management in the services sector. Okay. Right, the growth of operations management in the manufacturing industry. Remember, we said we have two industries. We have the manufacturing industry, we have the service sector or the service industry, right? So since the 1990s, we have seen an expansion of the operations management function in organizations that are in the manufacturing sector. In the past, the manufacturing managers or managers in the manufacturing industries, they just used to oversee or to manage the pure manufacturing of products. That is what they were doing. They were just overseeing that the pure manufacturing, the actual manufacturing of products. That was the function of the operations managers in the manufacturing industry. But now, these operations managers, they now do more things. A lot of things have been added to their responsibilities. And now their tasks, they include managing the supply chain of a business, managing the inventory, right? It includes also quality control of the products, ensuring that the raw materials that are being purchased are of good quality. The final product that is being manufactured is also of good quality, right? Technology integration is also another responsibility of these managers. They ensure that technology is integrated into the operations management function to make it easy to produce the final product. And we also have, they ensure that there is sustainability. The practices that are being carried out in the operations department or function are sustainable. Right? They do not have, or they have got minimum negative impact on the environment. That's sustainability. They also ensure the management of logistics, the distribution of goods, customer relations, and also analyzing the data is to demand that will be coming from the customers and ensure that they meet that demand. So now it's now a broad set of responsibilities for the operations managers, unlike what they were doing in the past. And in the 1950s, manufacturing, there was an increase in manufacturing to meet the demand from customers. Customers were looking for better and cheaper products, and then manufacturing increased to meet those requests. Factories were built to ensure that products are manufactured and the demand from the customers is satisfied. And we saw an increase in productivity. So as productivity increased, right, it means more workers were required to work in the operations industry. More workers were required to work to produce goods that were being demanded by consumers, right? So we said the manufacturing industry expanded, right? So as it expanded, it means there was also an increase in the need for services. A lot of goods were being produced, and there was need for service providers to look after these goods. When goods are produced, those who provide services, for example, security services, their services will be required to ensure that the goods are safe, the goods are not being stolen. Okay, that's the manufacturing industry. From the manufacturing industry, let's have a look at the growth of operations management in the service sector. Right? So some principles that are used in the manufacturing industries, they can also be used in the service sector. When we're talking of the service sector, we're talking of those businesses in sector in which we have businesses that provide services to customers. They do not provide a tangible product like the doctor's practice. If you go to a doctor, you need a service. Maybe you have a raging tooth that is supposed to be extracted. If you go to a fast food restaurant, a hospital, you need their service. You're not going there to buy something, you need a service. That's the service sector. We have electricians, we have technicians. They are all in the service sector. So if you go to the service sector, they also have tasks such as scheduling, of the operations. They have inventory management. And these, they are also there in the manufacturing industry. Because when you look at a hospital or a fast food restaurant, it buys raw materials or products that it uses to produce the food that you're going to buy. And those products that it buys is inventory. It is supposed to be managed the same way it is managed in the manufacturing industry. We have some equipment, small items of equipment that are purchased. Stationery that is purchased also. So those inventories, they have to be managed. Operations, they have to be scheduled also. The same way it is done in the manufacturing sector. So the service sector provides businesses in the manufacturing sector with services. You might have a business that manufactures cars, but you need the services of electricians. You need the services of the technicians, right? So these two, they should complement each other. And we have seen a growth of employment in the service sector. Without the service sector, the manufacturing sector will not sustain itself, will not be successful. And if you go to the service sector also requires products that are manufactured in the manufacturing industry. Talk of the equipment that is used in a hospital. That equipment is manufactured in the manufacturing industry. The tables, the chairs, whatever you can think of that you use in the hospital is manufactured in the manufacturing industry. So they need each other. Without the manufacturing industry, the service sector cannot be there. Okay, so these are the two sectors that we have, the manufacturing sector and the service sector, which should coexist, which should support each other, or which support each other. Okay. Right. From there, let's look at the decisions that are made by operations managers at different levels in an organization, right? So operations managers, we are saying, they make decisions. And these decisions, they are made at different levels. Okay? Right? So the first level at which the operations managers make decisions is the strategic level. So at the strategic level, we are saying the operations managers, they make strategic decisions. This is the highest level. They make strategic decisions. And these strategic decisions, they are broad. And they deal with the operational strategies, coming up with plans and strategies for the operations management department. And they are made by senior management. Because you say this is the highest level. So the highest level is dealt with by the senior managers. You cannot see a junior manager or a mid-level manager making a strategic decision. It is the senior managers. It is the executives. And their time frame is long term. That is maybe ranging from 2 to 20 years. That's the time frame for the strategic decisions. What are the examples of strategic decisions that are made by the senior managers? Deciding where to locate the facilities for a business. If we have a business that is growing, who decides? For example, we have ShopRite. When ShopRite was expanding throughout the country, when ShopRite was expanding or is still expanding throughout the continent, who decides where to locate ShopRite's facilities? It is the senior managers. Any business that you can think of that is expanding, when it wants to locate facilities in the Western Cape, in KZN, in Gauteng, Northwest, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, in Free State, it is the senior managers who decide. So they look at an area whether they will be able to get customers, or it will be very convenient for customers to go to their business and buy their products. So they decide. Deciding whether or not to launch a new product, right? It is the senior managers who decide whether they should launch or not a new product. And we have seen situations where the operations managers or the senior management were supposed to launch a new product, but they delayed. And at the end, when the product is launched, it fails. We have seen it. You can talk of this, which one? The bar key from Mercedes-Benz, right? That bar key was supposed to have been launched, I think, in 2018, right? But they delayed the launching of that product. And then by the time they launched it, there were a lot of other bar keys that customers were now affiliated with. And the product did not do well, and it was withdrawn. So we have various other examples of products that can be withdrawn because of poor decisions from senior managers, delaying the launching of a product. When they have a product, they should launch it immediately. Because other businesses, if they delay, other businesses will launch similar products. And by the time they launch their product, it will not do well in the market. Right? Deciding on a new process for a new product. Processes that are used to develop or create products, they are decided by the senior managers. And also deciding on a new layout for a plant or a new layout for a factory. Oh, right. It is the senior management. And these decisions, they are long-term decisions. Right? Like when deciding where to locate a facility, a business cannot locate a facility for 1 week and then it changes, it goes to other. It locates facilities for a long period of time. Okay. From the strategic decisions, we have the middle level, right? The first one was the high level. And this one now is the middle level. So the middle level, we have the tactical decisions, right? We have the tactical decisions. These ones are medium term, less complex decisions. When we say less complex in comparison with the strategic decisions, so they are less complex as compared to strategic decisions, and they are made by the middle level managers, right? The time period for tactical decisions is maybe from a couple of weeks to 2 years. For strategic decisions, we say 2 to maybe 20 or above. And then this one, we said from a couple of weeks to 2 years. So these time frames, they might differ. If you go to another book, you might see different time frames. For strategic decisions, it can say 5 years to 20, but I want you to stick to what is in your study guide. So here, for the tactical, we have a couple of weeks to 2 years. And they fall on from the strategic decisions. So these ones, they try to achieve the objectives that are set at the strategic level, right? So the strategic level it says what? The decisions, the long-term decisions. And then now the tactical here, they try to achieve what has been set by the senior managers, right? Examples of the tactical decisions: identifying the customer. The senior managers have decided for a location for the business. Now the middle level managers, they identify the customer in that area, and also identifying the target demands. These are some of the decisions that are taken by the middle level managers. Okay, from the tactical decisions, we have the lowest level, which is the operational planning and control decisions. As you can see here, we have two. We have the operational planning and the control decisions. So let's start by looking at the operational decisions, the first part. The day-to-day decisions made by junior managers. They are very simple. They are routine. They can take it today, tomorrow they have to decide on the same thing. And the time frame for these operational decisions that are taken by junior managers, it ranges from a few hours to a day, a few weeks. Okay, from where the tactical starts, that is where it ends. Examples of these decisions, the operational decisions that are taken by junior managers, they are seen in the planning and production of goods and services to meet the customer demand. Example, deciding how much inventory to carry, deciding the quantity of raw materials to purchase. Okay, so the tactical managers or the mid-level managers, they have taken what? A tactical decision, identifying the customer. They now know the customers. And then the low level, they now decide how much inventory to carry, depending on the demand. If it's the inventory for finished products, it will be determined by the demand that is coming from the customers that have been identified by the middle level managers. And also the raw materials to purchase, the quantity, it is the work of the junior managers. And the other part here, we have the control decisions. Okay, we have the control decisions that are concerned with the problem areas where standards have to be set, activities and output monitored, and where we need to take, or where the managers have to take corrective action, right? For example, we can see the control decisions deciding on the quality of the products. They are going to set standards on the quality of raw materials to be purchased, on the quality of the final product that is going to be produced, and also the control of the finances. When there are problems, corrective action is taken. Right, these are the control decisions that are taken by the low-level managers. Right, so these are the three levels that we have. Strategic decisions, which are made by the senior managers. We have the tactical decisions that are made by middle-level managers. And lastly, the low-level here, where we have the operational planning and control decisions, which are taken by the junior managers. Okay. Now, why are we studying operations management? You have started studying operations management. Why? The first reason, to determine how people organize themselves for a productive enterprise. We said there are various functions in an organization. I listed there a lot. But the major three functions, we have the marketing function, the finance function, and the production or operations function. These are the major three functions in an organization. And if you look at this, we have operations management, which is the last one here, which is the produce or operate. This is the operations management function. So we have to study it because it is one of the major functions of an organization. So it will help to determine how people organize themselves within the operations management department to come up with something that is productive for the enterprise. Number two, to know how goods and services are produced. Right? So we study operations management. We need to know the goods that we use. They are produced. The cell phone that you are using right now, the laptop that you are using right now, the router that you are using right now, these are products. They are produced. The services that we need when you go to the hospital, when you go to the restaurant, they are produced. We have to know how these are produced. Number three, to understand what operations managers do. We talked of a lot of things that operations managers do. And we can summarize this in five main functions of operations managers: planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. These are the general functions of managers. They also apply to operations managers. It is such a costly part of an organization. We are saying operations management department is a costly function of an organization. If something is costly, it has to be studied so that there are ways can be found to reduce the cost of operation. If it is not studied, and then it's going to deplete the profits of a business. It's going to reduce significantly the profits of the business. So it has to be studied. And then effective ways of managing activities should be established. And at the end, profits will rise. Because if it is for a profit making what business, its aim is to make profits. So if it's not increasing the profitability, then it's doing nothing. Okay. And lastly, to ensure the competitiveness of the organization. In the 21st century, there is stiff competition. So an organization has to compete with other organizations in the same industry. So it has to come up with maybe integrate technology in the operations management, come up with seamless processes to produce goods and services. Right. So these are the reasons here why start operations management. Okay. Right. The scope of operations management. What is the scope of operations management? So the scope of operations management, it includes making decisions that affect the production of goods and services. We talked of three levels which decisions are made: low level, mid level, and the high level. So decisions have to be made there. And these are going to have an effect on the production of goods, on the production of services. Right? And number two, ensuring the relationship between different functions within an organization. We say there are three major: marketing, operations, and the finance. Besides these, we have supporting functions. So there's a relationship between this. For example, the operations management function will need the finance function for money, for funds, to purchase the raw materials. The operations manager does not keep money. If it needs money to buy raw materials, it goes to the finance department. The products have been produced, right? It needs now to sell. It goes to the marketing and sales. It's the one that is going to do everything to ensure that the product is sold. Okay. So we need to ensure that there is good relationship between the various functions in an organization. So in the manufacturing sector, the operations, they produce goods. In the service sector, they deliver the services. And then the other scope here, ensuring the entire organization works as a system. Right? We know the primary aim of the organization as a whole is to generate profit, is to make profit. And an organization as a whole is a system, and it is divided into subsystems that will enable that it generates the profit. We have the organization being divided into various functions: the operations, the finance, the marketing, the IT, the human resources. All these, they work towards ensuring that the organization generates the profit. So if these subsystems are not working together, are not working in relationship, the organization at the end will not be able to generate the profit. So the decisions that are taken in the finance department, they will affect the organization as a whole. The decisions that are taken in the human resource department, they will affect the organization as a whole. Okay, that's the scope of operations management. From the scope of operations management, what do we have? The relationship between the different functions within an organization. I also mentioned the relationship from the previous slide, right? We have the finance function. You say is one of the major functions within an organization. This function, the finance, it provides the money to buy anything that is needed in any other function. It might be the operations department. It requires raw materials. It goes to the finance function for the funds. New machines, salaries for production personnel. If you go to the human resource department, whatever it needs. If you go to the IT department, the equipment, the softwares, the hardwares that it needs, it goes to the finance function to look for the funds. In this finance function, it sets the budget that for this year, we have to spend this much on our expenses. We have to spend this much on purchasing raw materials. Right, from the finance function, we have the marketing department is the one now that communicates with the final consumer. That, okay, consumers, we have our product. We have this cell phone here. Please come and buy. They will tell you the advantages, the benefits, and why it is different to other products in the market. Okay, so when customers see now the marketing department advertising the product, they will say, okay, I want to go and try this. So it's a very important department, because if the marketing department does not do well, then the products of a business are not going to be purchased. If products are not purchased, sales revenue would drop, which will have a negative impact on the profits of a business. And we have the operations department is the one that produces the products. It produces. The marketing markets the product, and the operations department ensures that those products, they are now delivered to the customers. Those who have requested the product, they get the products delivered to them. Okay, so the relationship is just focusing on the three major functions within an organization, right? So besides the three major here, we have supporting the departments. supporting functions. The human resources is the one that identifies the people who are going to work in the operations department, those that are going to work in the IT, those that are going to work in the finance department, those that are going to work in the market. They all pass through the human resources. So it's also an important function within an organization. We have the information systems or the technology IT department, also very important. They all help the core functions of an organization. So under the finance, right, we have an organization here. Under the finance department, it deals with accounts payables, it deals with accounts receivables, right? It deals with investments, loans, all these they are catered for under the finance department. Anything to do with money goes to. Now, saying accounts payable, the operations department, it buys raw materials, for example. You can buy on credit. And then it is the finance department that will ensure that those raw materials are paid for. Right? Whatever is being owed by the what? By the business, it has to be collected and accounted for in the finance department and accounts receivable. The investments, the amount that go to investments, they come from the finance department. The loans, they're all dealt with under the finance department. In the operations department, the production of goods and services, the logistics of those what goods and services, procurement, and the designing of the products and services. In the marketing department, sales promotion, market research, right? Advertising, customer satisfaction. These are the areas that fall under the marketing department. When you're watching a television, you see a product from House and Home being advertised. It is the marketing department of House and Home that will be doing that. But okay, we have this refrigerator. It was going for 15,000. Now it's 12,000. Please come and buy. That's the work of the marketing department. The marketing department also researches the market. What is it that is trending in the market? What are customers preferring? And they have that information, they will pass it to the operations department so that the operations department produces the product that the customers require. If they produce the product that is not required by the customer, then customers will not buy. Okay. Right. From there, we go to the transformation process. Right. Now let's look at the transformation process. We said products, raw materials are changed. So let's see what happens here. So goods are produced using the transformation process. Services are delivered using the transformation process. So the transformation process, it takes inputs or the raw materials and it converts them, it changes them into output. The output that we are going to see as the products that are in the shelves of the shops. The clothes that you are wearing right now is an output where we had various inputs. And the services that you get. So the inputs, which are all usually known as the 8 M's, we'll see the 8 M's later on, they are used to produce the finished product or to deliver the service. So these ones, they undergo changes. They go through the transformation process to become an output. A lot takes place during the transformation process to come up with the products that we have. We have seen even when beverages are being manufactured, where the bottles of Coke, for example, they go through they move through a conveyor belt, where at a certain area, the juice is what is filled in. And then they go to the next stage where a cap is going to be put and so on. A lot of things, a lot of processes, they take place during the transformation process. So in this transformation process, we have two types of inputs that you should know. We have the first one that is known as the transformed inputs. What are they? These are inputs that are changed during the operations, meaning that after the product is being produced, it won't be the same as the input. We're talking of raw materials, right? Raw materials are changed, and then at the end, we come up with the final product that is different to the input. Okay. When a table is being manufactured, right? We have wood that is needed. The wood combined with metal and so on, at the end, we come up with a table or a chair. And we have data also. Data is changed during transformation process. Data is usually used under the services. Okay. And from the other type is the transforming inputs. The transforming inputs, these are resources that are used to convert inputs into outputs. On their own, they are not changed. They remain the same. We can talk of machinery that is used to produce goods or services. We can talk of the equipment. They remain the same, but they are used to change into outputs. We can talk of labor, the staff, then input also. Okay, so these are the two types of inputs that we have: transformed inputs and transforming inputs, right? So the eight M's that we have here, we have money, manpower, materials, methods, management, machines, messages, and markets. These are the inputs. So this is the transformation process. Again, you'll be asked in assignment to about this transformation process, right? And then you apply it to an organization. And then from the inputs, we have the transformation process here at the center, where we have systems and processes that change the inputs into outputs, which are the finished goods and services. And when we are here, the transformation process, the value is added. We have the inputs, they go through transformation, value is added, and then we get an output that is going to satisfy the consumer. If value is not added here, then this output is not going to satisfy the consumers. And after the consumers have used the output, the business is going to get feedback, whether the consumers were satisfied with the product or not. Was it of good quality, poor quality? The feedback comes back. It goes to the transformation process. It goes to the inputs. So that, okay, the product was of poor quality. So the inputs here, they will ensure that the inputs that are going to be procured are of good quality if they are materials. And if the machines or the equipment that is being used is outdated, and then here they have to be replaced to ensure that we have them good final product. Okay, so these 8 M's here, the inputs, the 8 M's, right? We said they are taken in or they are put into a process or a system, they are changed, and then we come with the output. So the first one we said it's money. We're talking of the finance that is used to produce goods and services, right? So an operations manager comes up with budgets, right? Comes out with budgets to maybe acquire or to procure or to buy the raw materials that are going to be used to produce the goods. We have the manpower, which are the human resources. Right? These are the workers that are going to do the tasks, that are going to work in the operations department to produce goods and services. So the operations manager, how is the operations manager involved here? They will structure the tasks that are going to be done by these workers in the operations management department. Materials, number 3, we are talking of the stock from which goods are made. The final products, before they are made, the business is going to acquire raw materials. These are the materials. It's going to acquire the stock. Okay? So the operations manager works with the purchasing department to ensure that the materials that are obtained are of good quality for the business to come up with good quality final product. We have the methods. We're talking of structured activities that are used to produce a product or a service. The method, the processes that are followed to produce a goods or a service. So the operations manager will come up with the right methods for producing the product or delivering the service. We have the management, right? We are talking of the managers here who coordinate the tasks within the operations management department. Okay, and then machines, right? We are talking of the devices that are used by the businesses or by the operations management function to produce goods or to deliver the services. So the operations manager will need to ensure that the machinery that is used in the operations department is good quality equipment, not outdated equipment, and ensure that it is well serviced all the time, so that the final product is, the quality of the final product is not compromised. And then from the machines, we have the messages, the communication between departments. We talked of various departments within an organization. There is need for communication. Finance department communicating with the operations department. We have the marketing department communicating with the operations department. Those are the information that is being shared. So you as an operations manager, you have to ensure that information is flowing effectively and seamlessly between your operations department and other departments within the organization. And lastly, number 8, we have the markets. We're talking of the buyers of a product within a certain area that is being served by the business. So the operations manager, we're saying even though if it is the work of the operation, the marketing department, is also to be aware of what is happening in the market, so that they produce the right product for the consumers. Right, we are almost there. And then we have the systems and processes, right? We are going through the transformation process. The systems and processes is the part of on the inputs. We have the systems and processes, the part of the transformation process that ensures value is added to the inputs to ensure that customers are going to enjoy the final product. And we have the feedback measures taken to ensure that the proper transformation process is followed. It comes from the customers or the consumers. And then the value added, we have seen it there on top, is the value that is going to be added to a product or service, increasing the value of a product of an item as it is being processed, so that we come up with something that is going to entice the customer. And then the outputs, that is the final product that comes out of a machine or a process that you as a customer is going to buy, maybe in ShopRite, in House and Home, or Pick and Pay. Okay, so this is the transformation process from inputs, the systems and processes, feedback, value added, and the outputs. Right, and the last section now, let's look at the differences between the goods and services. We said earlier on, operations management is found in the manufacturing industry, is also found in the services sector, right? So manufacturers, they use operations management to produce a tangible product, something that you can see, something that you can touch, such as a laptop, such as a table. And the service providers, they use operations management to deliver their services. So a good, or you can say a product, we're talking of a thing that is the result of an action or a process. We're talking of chair, bread, shoes, the clothes that you buy, the laptops, cell phones, they are all goods, they are all products. And when we're talking of a service, it's an economic activity that produces an intangible product. We're talking of education, it's a service. You don't see it, but entertainment, lodging, and other various services that are provided by the government within a country, right? So you need to be able to know what a product is, or a good, or what a service is, right? And let's look at the differences between these two in a table format, right? We have goods, we have services. What are the differences? A good is tangible. You can touch it, you can see it. Services are intangible. No one can say, I saw education there. You cannot see it, but it's there. I saw entertainment there. No, you cannot see it, but it's there. Those are the services. The goods are produced by manufacturers. Services are produced by service organization. There was a question in a certain question paper, which was asking you to differentiate, give 5 differences between a good and a service, or goods and services. These are the differences. Goods, it's easy to store, and a service cannot be stored. You cannot store a service, but goods, you can store them. You can store your laptops. You can store your clothes that you are selling. Number 4, can be transported. You can transport goods. We have seen a lot of trucks along the freeways there, transporting goods from one location to the other, but the service cannot be transported. Number 5, delay between production and consumption. We don't know where the goods are produced. They are produced somewhere, right? But they are not consumed immediately. They will be distributed to customers who are going to buy them, and then after that, there will be consumption. But a service, production and consumption takes place at the same time. Right now, I'm producing a service to you, which is tutoring, and you are consuming it from the other side. Okay. Number 6, goods maintain value much longer. Services, they lose value quickly. Number 7, less likely to be unique. When you're talking of the goods, we have other similar products, but services, they are likely to be unique. Number 8, little or no contact between manufacturer and customer. The business that manufactures, sometimes doesn't have contact with the what? Customer. For example, it will be a manufacturer who manufactures, and then they are distributed to a retailer. The retailer is the one who will be in contact with the customers. Okay. When you talk of example, Unilever, you're not in contact with Unilever, but you go to ShopRite, you buy a lot of products from Unilever. And then service, interaction between customer and provider is high. The provider of the service. If you go to a hospital, you interact with the providers of the service. Number 9, little or no participation of customer when it's manufacturing of product, good, and then services, there is participation of customers in the service. Number 10, centralized away from the customer, that is the production of goods, and then services, facility of the service near the customer. But these days now, because of technology, we are seeing that some facilities of the service providers might be far away from the customers. You can get a service from an organization that is in America, whilst you are here in South Africa through the use of technology. And then production of goods mostly automated, and then the production of services is very labor intensive. 12, easy to measure the quality of products. It's difficult to measure the quality of service. You're not saying it cannot be measured, but it can be measured. When you see that there are complaints for the service that's being provided, then you know that it's of low quality, but it's difficult to measure the quality of a service as compared to a product. Number 13, does not depend on one person, the manufacturing of goods. And then for service, saver determines the standard of the quality, the one person. Lastly, number 14, it's easier to measure the output of products and cannot measure the output of a service accurately. These are the differences between goods and services. Okay, so this marks the end of our first lecture, which was more of an introductory lecture to give you information with regards to what operations management entails. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions from today's session? Any contributions? Any subtractions? Do we have anything to say?
Thank you.
Okay, that's shown on them. Build, Bully, Duduzile, Mahungo, Irene, Jane, Kani, Lee, Letabo, Lydia, Makitsi, Nomonde. Guys, do we have questions? Sfiso, Siwe, Sne?
No, not from me. I'm fine. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. That's all for today's session. Let's meet in the next session. That will be next week. So next week, get prepared. We'll be asking questions from you as we do our second topic. Right. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Let's meet next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. Yes.
Question quick.
Yes.
So, which unit should we cover for next week so that we can prepare?
Next week we are going to do Unit 2.
Unit 2. So we must just
Yes.
prepare the whole of Unit 2 for an interactive session.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah, a couple of friends.